Hello, this is Alejandro Bratti from Believe in Yourself, Believe in Your Business, and welcome to the Spanglish World Network on Single TV Channel 250. Please remember to download both the Single TV app on the respective App Store on iOS and Android devices. While you download, may be sure to rate and leave a comment. The app is free and is available in Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Roku, and all smart TVs. We have been trying to do this session for, I don't know, like 3 months or something like that, Jorge. So I don't want to put any pressure on you, but this has to be amazing. How are you,
Uh,
Jorge?
hey, thanks for having me. It's been, a long time in the planning.
Yeah, we have tried several times or and different reasons have created some problems, but here we are, and I am very happy to have you here in the program, Jorge.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I'm really happy to be here as well.
So, Jorge, we always start with the program. It's believe in yourself, believe in your business. That means we want to know a little bit of what you are doing now, and we're going to go back in your life to start to see how you started to believe in yourself to become the person that you are right now. So, tell us a little bit about yourself now. What is your business? What are you doing?
Yeah, so like many people, I changed careers or direction a few years ago, and I'm into developing leaders, working with executives and CEOs to help them unlock their potential. And in order to do that, I did two things. One, I partnered with a company called Leadership Management International, where we have programs that help change attitudes and behaviors all the way to develop great leaders to be more effective at leading and execution. And recently, I also joined the McKay CEO Forums. That is a peer-to-peer group here in Canada, and the same thing is to help leaders and executives to gain the knowledge from other peers as they face challenges that they are facing on a daily basis. So working with executives and to unlock their power, that's what I do these days.
Okay, and I love that topic, so I know that we're going to be talking a lot about that very soon. But let's start with your life. Who is Jorge? Where are you coming from? And a little bit of some of the experience that you needed to go through to start to believe in yourself. Like, I know that we don't always believe in ourselves, and there are some moments in our lives that like create that space to really grow and start to know that we are something better that we don't know.
Yeah. So let me give you a quick overview of where I come from. So I'm from Mexico, Mexico City as well. I was born and raised over there. I studied and graduated for my undergrad was cybernetics and computer science engineering, uh, computer science for the rest of the world. And when I was around 25 years old, I moved to Toronto as a stranger in a strange land. And that's one of the first signs of you have to believe in yourself. I didn't know anybody. It was pure adventure, and let's see what happens. And 25 years later, I'm still here in Toronto. So something did work along the way. Um, I work obviously in IT. That's my background. And along the way, there were times when I was working as a full time for big insurance companies, and I was growing a family. And you get stuck in that idea where is it okay to stay in Canada, or should I be moving back to Mexico to spend more time with family, friends, or things like that? But that's when your dream of why you're doing what you're doing and that belief in the decisions that you're making, you need to think about them to remember why this is where I am. And you continue with the decisions. You reinforce the decisions and you continue going forward. So I've been doing a lot of things work-wise over here. in IT, from running big systems for big corporations to being a contractor where I worked for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years with different big companies until a few years ago when I switched to leadership development coaching. It was a beautiful thing.
And what was the thing that started to guide you to start to move from one thing and another? Because okay, I know that it's not exactly from computer science to selling insurance. It's like what is like in the
Yeah.
middle, and also from that world to start to become a coach. What was like the idea behind, and what moved you to do that?
Yeah. So we can break it into periods. The After I graduated from university, I was changing jobs quite frequently. Even I landed in Canada and I started working here for different companies because I was switching quite frequently after a few months because I was looking for something else. Eventually, I landed in a big insurance company working in IT. That's where I worked for probably around 10, 12 years. And after that, um, I tried to keep on moving higher and higher in the corporate world in that company, but things just didn't work out. And I joined one of their competitors. And that's when I realized that I had two options. I can continue as a full time employee trying to move up, or become a contractor where I do kind of the thing that I specialized. In that case, was program management, and jump from one company to the other, doing the same thing but working for myself, having a little bit more freedom. So that's the first major switch that I did. Along the way, I was working with Mastercard, and they were starting to introduce Agile, uh, very heavy in their operations. So I started moving into Agile to become a Scrum Master, Agile coach, and again contracting for multiple companies for a period of time. And one thing that caught my attention was no matter the company, the biggest challenge that teams had was their attitudes, their behaviors. And the classic example is if you have a project manager, they are used to being in control of everything. They are very authoritative, very command and control. That's how you get projects done. And in Agile was the opposite. It's all kumbaya, helping the team work together, more harmony, and those kind of things. And if you have a project manager that is very good, and you put them to act as a scrum master, usually that was a recipe for disaster, unless they switch their mindset to be more collaborative and less authoritative. So that's when I started to get into behavior of people, attitudes, behaviors. And I noticed also how there are managers and executives, they have different drives. Some of them have laser focus on their goals, on their KPIs. They crush them and they keep moving up. While others are very nice people, they help everyone around them, and they are staying at the same level for a long period of time. And that has to do with their work habits. Again, everything goes back to attitudes and behaviors. And this continued for a few years. And along the way, I ran into this company, Leadership Management International. And I drank their Kool-Aid. I love their philosophy. And that's where it connected how changing those behaviors and attitudes can lead to improving the way you perform your goals, and you can achieve whatever, whether it is in a big corporation or a small business. Uh, that's that's where I am these days. That's how I got to this.
Wow. Um, okay, and if we start to see your life, because at the end we are attracted with a lot of the things that we are suffering also sometimes, like where your biggest pain is, is where your biggest dream is also, if you learn how to move from there. So if you start to think about your life and areas in your life that you were like, okay, maybe I didn't have the right attitude, and suddenly you realize that you need to change that, and suddenly you have this leadership group that is helping you to understand that better and to even help you to teach it. Can you help us to understand some of them, just to understand where your shift came?
Yeah, and I think I experienced a big shift without realizing I was going through that back in the early 2000s. That's when I was working as a full time for a big insurance company. Um, I was doing an MBA at the same time, and I had two daughters, 0 and 2 years old, and we were a single income family at the time, right? So there was a lot of stress, a lot of pressure. So I had two options. One is to take things with the scarcity mindset and just be in panic mode because money was tight and everything was difficult, or just realize things are going to get better in the long term. This is an investment. We just have to get through this period, and you have to believe in everything will fall into place, right? So that's what I did. Even I was spending more money every month than what I was making for a period of time, but I knew I had a plan. I just had to push it through, and things were gonna work out in the end. So that's one area where I started realizing when I look back in time, that concept of believing in what you're doing and your game plan will work. So that's definitely one of those, and others have been more on the professional side, where, um, for example, one of the things that I do is I get deep into the personality traits, personality dimensions, how you are hardwired, and how you are in in the work environment, right? When I was working for again for a big insurance company, I was responsible for mission critical production systems, where if something goes wrong, I was the last line of defense to fix them. And I would have the chief investment officer calling me because the sky was falling. So at the time, and this is looking at how I was at the time, I have a high tolerance for ambiguity and uncertainty. So no matter what happened, I was cool. I have no stress. I can deal with all those things. So that characteristic helped me back then. Fast forward, when I decided I'm gonna run my own business, be by myself, the same characteristic is my biggest nemesis because I don't have any sense of urgency. Because no matter how bad things are, I have a game plan and I can manufacture a way to get out of things, and I know it's going to be okay. But that is preventing me from having that sense of urgency to get things done as fast as possible. So that is one of those adjustments where something works in one environment and it can be against you at some other.
Wow. So that is really interesting, because at the end it's exactly what you are saying. It's like the biggest concerns and fears sometimes becomes where is our true power, and that's at the end was your problem, and suddenly it's also what you learn to accomplish, and you learn how to even teach it to others. So that it's really amazing. In part of your story, the first thing that you start to talk is about from being a big dreamer and having a lot of dreams to start to take action. So tell us a little bit of what were the dreams and what happened so you started to create and take action.
Yeah. So back when I was at university in Mexico City, I just had this idea. I wanted to go and experience living in the US or Canada. And I graduated and nothing was happening. If I wanted to go, it had to be by myself, right? So that's when I decided to start contacting companies in the US in particular, figuring out how can I get over there. And that's where I spoke with a few, and they told me, you need to get some certifications so we can sponsor your visa and yada, yada, yada. So I was doing that. I got a few certifications in different IT stuff. And by accident, I happened to read a newspaper on a Sunday. And that's because I never read newspapers. And in that newspaper, I saw a small ad of some lawyers from Canada that they were going to be in Mexico City giving this presentation on how to immigrate to Canada. So I went there. I saw their presentation. I liked these guys. I drank their Kool-Aid as well. And 3 months later, I was moving as a permanent resident to Canada. So that is one of those things that, if you have the dream, I wanted to go to the US and Canada to live, and I was focused on making that happen, which made me aware of looking for opportunities to make that happen, right? So on one hand, I was taking action, getting certifications and contacting companies. And the other one is kind of, I don't want to say manifesting, but being aware of the possibilities that happen, that are taking place around you. So when I saw that ad in the newspaper, I took action and went for it. Because you can easily say, oh, I don't believe those people are for real. I don't go to that seminar, and I wouldn't be here 25 years later. So when you have a dream and you want something, your radar is open to detect possibilities and opportunities that will help you make that happen. So that what happened to me along the way back then, and along the way since then, there's been moments where you just go back to what you want, what is your dream, what you're looking for, and opportunities to make that happen start happening, start showing up. You just have to be aware of where they are and seize them.
And with that story, what do you think was the big lesson that you learned to become an action taker? And I know that when new things are coming at the end, you have this thing again, like, okay, do I really want this, or I have to continue being a dreamer? So what was the big lesson that you have learned?
So the big lesson, and this is looking at in hindsight, right? Looking at what I was doing at the time. My dream was to go to the US or Canada, and I saw the opportunities, and then I took it. Then along the way, life happens. Sometimes I got settled in my job, in my life, growing a family, whatever, and you get stuck. And that's when you need to take a moment to realize: is this everything that's going to happen? Is this the best I can do? And that's when you realize that you stop dreaming and you started focusing on just the day-to-day hustle. And that's when I go back and start dreaming again on where I want to be, who I want to become, what's next. And that's when things start falling into place again, and then you have another boost into your energy so you can go to the next step. And that's, for example, where you look at making, in my case, at some point was doing an MBA so I can get more knowledge and experience to go to take my professional life to the next level. And the same thing later on, it was a decision. Do I want to continue moving up the corporate ladder, or do I want to go into contracting and take things more on, have more control of what I'm doing. And that's where I started dreaming again, or visualizing. Where do I want to be in a few years from now? What do I want to do? How do I want to be living my life? And that kind of ignites the fire again, and that's where you make decisions. And one thing that I don't know if how common it is, but is I don't like to see things as regrets in the past, because once you make the decision, you look at all the information that you have available at that time, you make the decision, and you move forward. Uh, I don't see it as a regret. It's just opportunities where you learn if things work out or they don't work as well as you wanted. But in the end, it's just a decision, a moment in time, and you keep on moving.
Nice. Yeah, and okay, let's start to go deep in some of the things that you are doing and learning, because I believe there is a lot of power with what you are saying. For example, with the visualization, I know that this is very important for people to start to understand really where they want to go, start to understand what are the next steps that they want to reach. And if you start to visualize, you can start to move to the future and see if you like that, and how you are going to get there. Tell us a little bit more of that. How was your visualizations? How you started to do that? If you have anything that you do, like a vision board, or what are you doing to have? Okay, now you start to see what you want. I want to start to imagine all the things that I have to do. Or sometimes this is a visualization that seems too good to be true, and and you forget for a while. How is the process?
Uh, yeah, and once again, when I look back, some of these things happened without me realizing that that was actually taking place. And excuse me, and later on, I understood what was happening. For example, when I was working in this period of 10 years in an insurance company in particular, um, I was moving up, right, from solution architect to manager to director and whatever. As I was moving up, one of my managers, the people I was reporting to, he gave me this advice. He told me, you need to level up and dress more formal. It was a big insurance company, but the executives were always ties, suits, very formal, right? And I was wearing a business casual. So when I started dressing up, people noted how took notice on how my attitude was changing, how my behavior was changing.
Mm,
And it has to do because I started playing the act of the next level that I wanted to be.
mm,
And that's what my manager was kind of coaching me without telling me what was happening. So when I started to act, as in that case, as a director, doing the things that a director was doing, soon after that, I got promoted to director. And
mm,
it wasn't just because my boss wanted it or supported me, but because the other executives above my boss, they noticed the change, they noticed the impact, and then it became. So that is very similar. And actually, that's what happens when you realize what is it that you want, how should you be behaving, and what you should be doing if you want to be ABC.
wow.
And once you start acting like ABC, then everything starts falling into place. So whether it's a promotion, you want to go to the next level, or you want to start your own business, or whatever it is that you want, once you define how you should be behaving at that level and start acting like that, it will happen. Now, the trick is you have to be consistent. And that is a big problem when we want something that we're not doing every day. For example, if we're working 9 to 5 in something and we want to have a business on the side that is going to grow and make us a lot of money or whatever, sometimes we may spend the weekend visualizing, okay, this is what I want, this is how I'm going to behave, these are the goals I'm going to achieve, this is what I'm going to be doing, and everything is beautiful. Then Monday arrives, we're back to the 9 to 5. We get at the end of the day, we go back home. We don't have the energy. We forget about what we visualized on the weekend. And when you realize it, it's Friday and you haven't done anything. So that's when you need to start changing your behaviors and attitudes. And that's where every day in the morning you need to have, and there are many techniques. What I have found that works for me is to have a morning routine and a night routine. Morning is when you open the day and when you close the day. And when you open the day, I want to read or write my visualization, who I want to be, the goals I want to achieve, just to refresh them, because otherwise I will forget about them. And at the end of the day, when I close it, what did I do about it? Did I work on it? Did I make any progress or not? And you keep track of, yes, making progress or not in a 31 calendar or something. And eventually you get to the point where, do I want to keep saying, no, I didn't do anything, or I'm just tired and I have to do something about it? And something's going to click eventually. You're going to say, I'm going to do something about it today. You do it one day, then 2 days, then 3 days. And after a bit, now you are actually doing something consistently. And that's when things happen.
That's really important what you're saying. Really understanding how to take action. It's what is the little step that you are doing. Like I want to become, for example, the next Dalai Lama, just to say something, that I meditate for 2 hours. Start meditating 1 minute, and start to know what is 1 minute, and then you move to 5 minutes, and then you move to 10 minutes. So that's exactly what you are saying. Like, okay, you want to become the next level, start to behave like that next level, and start to understand what is the people around doing in that level, and that is really powerful. And everybody that is listening to us, if you are going through something and you are thinking like, yeah, I want to become the next XYZ, suddenly what you need to see is, okay, let's start to understand that position or that person or that thing. Start to see what is the behavior, what are the habits that this person has, what is he doing, what he's not doing. It's like sometimes I know that I can be dreaming about becoming an athlete. I am not doing that, but let's do an example of that. And if I want to become an athlete, a high performance athlete, I have to realize also that if I am going to do that, that means that there is a lot of things that maybe I am doing right now that I will have to stop doing them, because that is not something that a high performance athlete is doing. So that's why for me, like on what you are saying now, it's very important, because it's exactly what can help you to become that person. Start to behave like that person that you want to become, and suddenly everything is going to start to be there. So that is really powerful, Jorge.
Yeah, and one of the biggest challenges that I'm facing these days is, as I'm building my own practice for coaching, is business development. And uh, one of the things that you have to do at the beginning, or if you want to get more clients faster, is cold calling, uh, approaching people that you don't know, so they are aware of what you do. And maybe if things connect, then you have a new client, right? So for the longest time, I've been struggling with that, because that's very uncomfortable. But you have, and I've been watching a lot of people talk about it, how you have to step out of your comfort zone. And when you set up a big goal, you don't enjoy actually, for example, a person who runs marathons, their goal sometimes is not to finish the marathon in first place, third place, or top 10. But what they enjoy the most is actually running. So the journey to achieve your goal is literally more important than the actual goal. And if you learn how to enjoy that process, those little things that you have to do consistently, that's going to change
Mm,
everything.
mm,
And I think I finally got it. But yeah, that was one of the struggles that I've been facing in the last few months or couple of years. And it is figuring out how to love the work that you have to do, because that's going to make the difference, and be consistent.
yeah.
So yeah.
And yeah, and enjoying the process is completely something that you are going to enjoy, to love. If not, we are always thinking like, okay, when I get there, I am going to love my life, and I am going to become the person that I want, and I am going to start to do X, Y, Z. And it's like, no, start to do it right now, because if you start to think that you are going to be there, start to become that person, and suddenly things are going to.
I have the perfect example. uh, when I was after I got married, uh, and my wife was pregnant for my first daughter, and I really needed those 9 months to get ready to look after my newborn baby. Had it happened overnight, where she says, "Oh, I'm pregnant," and next morning we have a baby, it would have been a panic for myself, because I wasn't mentally ready to be a father, to take
Yeah.
care of it. So sometimes you have to go through that journey that helps you be ready as you are doing a lot of things. So when the moment comes and you are where you want to be, you actually can be successful. So in that case, the pregnancy, those 9 months, I personally, I did need those 9 months to be there for my new baby. And same thing, when you're looking for a goal, you say, "Oh, I want to have this life when I get there." You have to go through the journey so you can actually enjoy and live at that level. Otherwise, it's like people who, another example, when people win the lottery, all of a sudden you have a lot of money, but you haven't prepared yourself to act in a way to manage effectively that big amount of money. And after a few months, you lose everything and you're back to where you are, or even worse. So the journey is quite important.
It's very important. And when you are talking about executives and CEOs, I know that they have a big list of things that everybody is expecting from them, from stakeholders, from other partners, with like a lot of people that is expecting a lot of things from them. How are you helping them to, okay, start to focus, and this is to help them with this belief, like, okay, I have the belief that I have to help and do everything, but I have to focus on the most important things, and avoid all the noise that they are getting each time that you are going up in the ladder. You are going to start to find that there is more noise, because there is more politics, there is more other things that maybe is not exactly work, uh, that it's being expected that you do. So how are you helping them in regards of, okay, how the attitude to work well with all these issues, and have the behavior to work well without even knowing that all this noise is going to continue being there?
Yeah, so there are a couple of things. The first one is with LMI. We have this personality assessment that measures, there's 10 personality dimensions, and what it does is bring awareness of your habits. Because usually when a person is under stress, your habits take over, and that's how you run, how you act. So knowing that you may be very assertive, very aggressive, or maybe you turn into a very quiet person because you are just listening and observing, digesting, or who knows? There are so many possibilities. But having that awareness of how you are, it will help you understand what you need to change a little bit to be better. And the second thing is to figure out what are the distractors that you have on your day to day. And there's a fundamental set of skills that you can develop to minimize the distractions. One is what we were talking a few minutes ago, how you plan your week and your days, identifying what are the top priority goals you want to achieve, and each day have three high payoff activities, things that you want to do, because if you do them, you're moving the needle on the right way. And everything else is just a lower priority. And the other one is what can you do to minimize the distraction. For example, you may need to be better at having delegating, empowering, giving authority to others. Because if you don't do that properly, then the people that you're managing are going back to you with questions. They want clarification. They are asking you, "Can you do this? Is this what you want? Is this right? Is this wrong?" And those little things, they add up every day and over a week. But those things, when you do them properly, they will free up time. And the last one is you have to be aware of what are your key goals for the years, your key KPIs, what are the indicators that show that you're moving forward. Basically, get obsessed on those ones, because if you crush them, that's when you make progress as a person, as a leader, and as a company. So,
and there is something I love what you are saying, and I don't want to go deep there, but there is something that you say a lot about yourself that you learn to do, and it's reinvention. How you reinvent yourself every 3 to 6 years. Why do you think that is important? Why do you think? How do you think that help you to become a better person? Or what are you looking for when you are reinventing? It's like, okay, I am good, I am okay, I am here, I can be happy just with where I am, or why you need to continue reinventing yourself to be looking for new ways?
um, yeah, that's a very good question. And I think that a lot of times I didn't know I was doing it or I had to do it. But now, as I have some introspective of what I have done, I realized that I was reinventing myself. And it has to do with you're doing whatever is how your life is, and you get to a point where you can say, I'm comfortable the way things are. This is good enough for me. Or you have a pain that is telling you, I want more. I want something different. This is not working out. I can't believe or accept that this is it for me. And it has to do probably with your personality. Some people don't like change, they like stability. And again, that's where we go to the personality dimensions. They will bring out awareness that some people, they want to have that sense of security, of comfort. They know the environment and they're happy. They are doing fine, and that's all they want. While others, they want bigger challenges, bigger risks, something different, because things are becoming boring. So that was my case. And that's when I realized I had to start changing things, because otherwise, if I'm doing the same thing over and over, I become bored and I want to change things. And the other thing that I have realized over time is that the world is changing very, very fast. And just because you're doing well right now and you may be in a comfortable position, that doesn't mean it's going to stay the same 2, 3, 4 years down the road. An example is what we see today. There is this app, Chat GPT, that is making a lot of noise. because you can have a conversation and it can give you a lot of answers that before it would take significant work to do. So now I was talking with some CEOs of marketing and PR companies, and they are struggling right now to figure out how this technology is going to impact them, because they were very creative. Companies pay them to create content to promote their companies, and now this thing you can ask it and it will spit something 80% useful in like seconds. So you just have to tweak it and you can post it. So that is changing, and it is going to be changing even more in the next few years. So if you're not reinventing yourself and you're not figuring out how to leverage where the world is going, you're going to end up being in an industry, in a job that has no future, and eventually you will have to suffer the consequences. So I think people change and reinvent themselves either voluntarily or when it's too late. So a good practice is let's get figuring out what else is next.
And in regards of the coaching, because I know that there is not a lot of people that is like, okay, I love coaching, I want to be coach. Sometimes coaching and executive coaching is not seen as really what is going to happen. That is all the help that you are going to bring, all the awareness, all the new ideas that you are going to give this person, this executive, to be better. And if they improve 1%, it's a lot. So what are you doing to help them to understand, like, okay, this is not like going to a shrink or going to a psychologist, or going, but really to help you get all the insights that you have inside of you and become a better person with that?
Yeah, and that's very important, because there's all sorts of coaching, right? And the one that the reason I fell in love and I drank the Kool-Aid with LMI, Leadership Management International, it's because they take all of this into consideration, uh, your own personality, what you need to change, attitudes and behaviors. Uh, for example, the things that you need to master, the skills you need to improve to be a better leader. And all of that, they take it into a process that lasts 5-6 months, and they tie it to the goals that you want to achieve in your business. And throughout those 6 months, we keep track on how you are implementing what you're learning and how you are making progress on that goal. And that goal, we have a very deep goal planning system where we go into the metrics and into how we're going to be tracking the progress, because we want to ensure that you're actually applying what you're learning about yourself and the techniques that we're talking to implement them. Because at the end of the day, coaching has to be to help you get better.
Yeah.
And what better way to show it than by improving the indicators, the KPIs of your number one goal in your business? Whether you are sales, operations, no matter who you are and what you do, there is the number one goal you must have, that if you crush it, you will take your area, whatever you do, to the next level. And in order to say that you crushed that goal, you must have a way to measure it, some indicators. And through our program, we are keeping track and ensuring that you are improving those indicators. And that's where we tie what we are doing with the awareness, with the skills, with the leadership development, and applying it to improve the results of the goal that matters the most to you. So that's the difference with LMI, and that's why I decided to join them, because it's the only one that I saw that had that thing in place.
Awesome. So we are almost at the end of the program. It was so quick
Yes.
today. uh, how people can connect with you, how they can know more about what you are doing. Do you have some final thoughts that you want to share with people here?
I can be reached at probably the best way is LinkedIn, just my name, and you will see my fascinating face in there, and that's me. I'm open to connect with anyone. And the final thought is, um, yeah, keep dreaming of. If you don't like where you are, if you believe that there is something more, something bigger for you in this world, in this life, go back and start dreaming what you want, where you want to go, figure out what is your game plan to get from where you are to where you want to be, and start thinking that you are where you want to be. So believe in yourself, like you say, but have a destiny, know where you want to go.
Well, and really, everybody that was listening today to Jorge is very interesting because he's talking about like what are the things that we can become, but the most important thing that we need to know is that we are a journey in progress. That means that we continue growing, we continue learning, we continue developing ourselves. But if you enjoy even the process of becoming better, you are going to start to live it. And something that I love, Jorge, that you were telling, and I want to emphasize at the end of the program now is if you want to become the next CEO of your company and you are one level below, start to behave like you are there. Start to take the decisions as you were there. Start to have the habits of that CEO. And suddenly you are going to start to see that people are going to start to see that you should be the next CEO, you know? So it's the same. If you want to become another executive and suddenly you are maybe in the middle management and you want to be an upper management, start to see how they are behaving, what they are doing, what are the things that they are doing, what are the habits that they have, where are they going, and suddenly you are going to start to become that person. And something that you said that is very important, Jorge, is be consistent because that's like dreaming about okay that everything that you're saying is great, but what happens if you have to behave and have the habits for 6 months? Ah, no, that's too much. I'm sorry. I want to have the results in one day. I will do it for 1 week, but if nothing happens, I will stop doing it because it's not working. No, it's be consistent and start to see the future, you know?
Yeah, we all want to be skinny and rich, but we don't always want to do the hard work every day to make that happen. And sometimes it gets very uncomfortable to do that work.
And also, if you need help, that's where you need to have somebody like Jorge or myself to help you to see the blind spots, the thing that you are not seeing in yourself. Like maybe you're frustrated because nothing is happening and you don't know what is happening. And then, like that's where an executive coach, a high performance coach, can help you to okay, this is exactly what you are not seeing. And if you start to develop these skills, you are going to go to the place that you are dreaming. So thank you, Jorge, for today. It was really amazing. I know that you are a little bit freezing in in Toronto. I hope that the weather starts to be better very soon. Uh, and we are almost at the end. Do you want to say one final thought just to finish the program?
Yeah, just thank you, Alejandro. It was a great conversation. Finally, it happened. I'm glad to be here. And yeah, whatever it is we want, let's make it happen. As long as we are awake, we can make it happen.
And remember, believe in yourself, believe in your business, and everything is going to start to work. If you are not believing in yourself, that's where you need to start to see the changes that you are looking for. So this show can also be heard on Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and leave it. Thank you, Jorge. Thank you all. See you next week.